Welcome back to the Grind, Sleep, Repeat podcast. On today's episode, we are going to help you create the perfect blueprint for hybrid training and something that you can be consistent with and that's sustainable for you and your lifestyle.
Yeah, hybrid training can mean a lot of different things to people. And what we're going to go through today is to show you how to create a program that you can repeat and then you can have continued success because no one wants to do all this training. They're running all these miles, they're lifting 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week, and the program just isn't making sense and you're just not seeing progress. So, what we want to teach you how to do is have that sustainable progress and talk about how you can use periodization to block different chunks of time depending on your specific goals you might have, whether it's more of a body composition goal, whether it's more of a strength and performance goal, or if you're going to sign up for an endurance event, you're really going to be focusing on that. You could use periodization to have sustainable progress over time.
Yeah, the key is always going to be consistency, and that's what we're going to help you create today. But before we hop into this episode, we want to explain to you, if you're new to this channel and you haven't heard us talk about hybrid training, all this is combining strength training with some sort of cardio. For us, typically it's running. It can be any type of cardio though. It can be biking, swimming, rowing, anything that you want that's considered cardio. We started training this way a few years ago because we both are athletes. We have a sports background, so we came from essentially always training this way, but then got into weightlifting. And once you get into weightlifting and you start training like a bodybuilder, you don't really introduce cardio into that program at all.
Yeah.
So this has been new for us for the last couple of years, and we've really enjoyed it. So we found a lot of passion in helping people learn how to incorporate this into their lifestyle.
Yeah, we've made plenty of mistakes, say about a little bit over 2 years ago. Yeah. Kind of started training as hybrid athletes, doing our first half marathon. And like Alyssa mentioned, like we have a strong sports training background. And then after we finished sports, a strong bodybuilding, powerlifting type background. So a lot of strength training. So this is something to say that, no matter where you're at with your goals, I think hybrid training really allows you to be so many things other than just somebody who lifts weights. So
Right.
you can still have a really healthy, functioning cardiovascular system and improve that while still being strong as hell and looking like you lift weights and having good body composition. So you can still have all those things. Again, the main thing that we're going to talk back to is the structure. Following a detailed program is super important. And if you're just winging it, you do run the risk of just spinning your wheels and not seeing the progress that you want. So we're really going to speak to that. The structure of the program is super important, especially when you're training like a hybrid athlete and you're trying to do a lot of things within your program.
Yeah, and I think, this type of training can be for anyone, but especially for the person who is super busy and super competitive like us who have that athletic background and want to work hard. And I think this became super, important to us when we became parents. Well, probably shortly after that, but busy parents, let's say that. And, when schedules get crazy, we can't be in the gym doing these bodybuilding workouts that last 2 to 3 hours. Like it just doesn't work. To be able to take the kids to sporting events, see family, see friends, have a full-time job, like these workouts are enough to get results, but also be done in an efficient way.
Yeah, I think you see a lot of hybrid training content online and you see people that will run in the morning, lift in the evening, and that's perfectly fine. Like there's different seasons of life. I'm not knocking that at all, but you might find that where you're at in your season of life right now, you don't have time to dedicate 2 separate training sessions a day. We're in that same spot. We own our own business. I train as early as 5 a.m. and sometimes I leave as late as 6:30 p.m. We have 3 boys. We have a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 3-year-old. They're in select sports. We're busy with that. And so, we only really have an hour to dedicate to our fitness typically every day. We can carve out an hour out of our schedule, but that
all
just
you
makes
need.
it, yeah, and that's all you need. So I just wanted to put that out there that you don't have to run and lift every single day to consider yourself a hybrid athlete. There's certain seasons of life where you might be able to dedicate more time to your fitness, and that's perfectly fine. But I just want to put that out there that don't be discouraged and don't think that I can't train hybrid, I can't make progress in lifting and running because I'm not lifting and running every single day. We work with plenty of people, both in person and online, that are lifting and running in their program and training hybrid, and they're following this program that we've created for them, and they're seeing progress. You just have to take what your specific goals are, your specific time frame that you have, and you need to make the best program that's going to make the most sense for your specific goals. Everybody's very different. Don't compare yourself to others, and compare what you're doing to others, because it's true. Comparison is the thief of joy. So focus on what you're trying to do and really set the structure around that specifically.
Yeah, that kind of puts us at our first tip too, is finding something that you can create sustainability with. And these habits are going to develop over time. And if you start a program and you jump in guns hot, and like you said, you're doing this hour run in the morning, and then in the evening, you have an hour lifting session, and you know that that's not realistic long term, and granted, you're gonna go through phases like you mentioned too, where you're training for a race and it's more of a slower season maybe in life where you're able to do that. But setting yourself up for success, if you know that like, okay, right now it's baseball season. Are we going to set ourselves up for success by, saying, okay, I got to get up and do a run in the morning, and then in the evening I have to, do a lifting session? That's not going to work, because after work, we're picking kids up, we're taking them to sporting events, we have baseball games, we have baseball practice, we're gone every single night pretty much. That's just not realistic. So if you know that, then don't put that on your plate if you know that that's going to be too much.
Yeah, and that's a really good way to get hurt. So if you're new to hybrid training and you jump right in, you're like, I'm going to run every day and I'm going to lift every day. If you drastically increase your training volume, whether it's from lifting or running, very quickly, it's not enough time for your body to acclimate. So you definitely can build that up over time to where you're running a lot of miles each week. You're doing 3, 4, 5, 6 strength training sessions each week. That's something you can build up to, but it is not a place to start. One, you're going to get hurt, but two, you're just not going to make progress because it's just too much on your body. Like Alyssa mentioned, the sustainability piece is really what we're looking for here, because if you can create a program that's sustainable, you can make continued progress over time. If you create a program that is so hard to stick with, you're not going to be able to have the consistency quotient that you need to make progress. And then you're just going to fall off the wagon. So why not create a program that's going to make a little more sense and be able to be replicated over time, rather than just something that's like balls to the walls? I can only stick with this for like 4 to 8 weeks. I mean, 4 to 8 weeks is really a small fraction of your year. And it's something that you'd rather have long-term success by following a program that you can replicate for 52 weeks out of the year, rather than just a short frame. And like Alyssa mentioned, maybe you have a half marathon or a marathon or a race coming up that you really got to ramp things up. You got to be doing more training volume. I completely understand that. I have been through seasons like that as well, but we're talking about most of the time, you need to create that sustainability to where you can replicate what you're trying to do and work towards your specific goals. I think that's something you really need to focus on. Is with hybrid training, there's so many different variables that you can work with, and we can kind of talk about that next. Is you can have a little more emphasis on running, a little more emphasis on strength training. You can have an even split right down the middle. Or what we like to do is also use periodization. So we can kind of talk a little bit about our current program and programs we've done in the past. But essentially, periodization is saying, for this block of time, I'm going to focus on this specific goal. This is going to have the most importance in my program. Maybe it's strength training and you're still going to run, you're maintaining a base, or maybe it's the opposite. I'm going to sign up for a marathon. Running is the most important thing in my program right now, but I'm still going to lift weights and maintain a base of strength. It's going to help me with my performance. It's going to help me maintain my muscle mass. It's going to help with body composition. So periodization can really help you. Again, you just have to think about, what do you want to accomplish? Don't worry about other people. What is it that you want to accomplish, and create the program around that.
Yeah, and the key overall is to avoid that burnout. So when we are creating that plan, we really need to think about, okay, if I'm somebody who strictly is just weight training right now, I am gonna have to, like, give and take from that, because if we are doing 6 days a week of strength training, and then you say, "Okay, I'm ready to add in cardio," and you try to jump in and add in 3 days of cardio, you are going to burn out. So you have to be able to give and take there, and I think that was something even for us that was hard, because when you're used to strength training 6 days a week and you find that satisfaction of coming in and hitting your strength training workouts, and then you're like, "All right, and then I'm gonna get my cardio session in." It it's first of all, I don't think we were eating enough, so if you're gonna do something like that, prepare to fuel properly,
Yeah.
which is something we can talk about later, but making sure that you aren't overdoing the strength portion, that also is gonna lead to injury, and then you're not gonna be able to do any of it. So, taking these baby steps where if you're strength training 6 days a week, bump that down to 4 days a week, and then you have those other 2 days where you're doing cardio.
Yeah. And, our current program right now, where we're at, our main goal is building muscle and building strength for both of us. That's kind of our main goals right now. But we're still maintaining a base of running. We're still training hybrid, blending both together. We've gone through phases where we were training for half marathons, where that's the main emphasis. So, like right now, our program, we're strength training typically 4 to 5 days of the week. And then we're running at least or having conditioning at least 2 days of the week. Sometimes a little bit more. Sometimes we'll add in a third day or a run outside of our strength training session. But we're maintaining that base so that if there's a race that we would like to sign up for, it's not like we've completely thrown out running and we have to get back into it and get through the really sucky part of running those first couple runs when you haven't been running in a while. So you're always maintaining the base of running, even if your main goal is strength. The flip side of things, like I mentioned earlier, say you're signing up for a marathon, you're not going to be able to strength train 6 days a week for most people. It's going to be too much because of the running volume. There's going to be so much volume that you have to acquire over the week to reach your goal of running the marathon. So, okay, you bring that volume down and you're going to strength train maybe 2 to 3 times a week. You're going to maintain your muscle as much as you can, maintain your strength. It's going to help you make sure we're not having imbalances as well if you're doing all that to running volume. And it's something that, again, it all goes back to your specific goal. What are you trying to accomplish? Use periodization to get better, because what we don't want to do is we're running all the time, we're lifting all the time, and we can't really put the effort required to make the progress in either one of those. And then you're just spinning your wheels. And 3 months goes by, 6 months goes by, a year goes by, and you haven't made any progress in your running or your lifting. So rather, you should focus on using periodization to focus on a block of training. Maybe it's 3 months to 6 months long that you're going to focus on getting better a specific goal. Once you do that, you build off of that, or maybe you build off in a slightly different direction. That's the most effective way to structure a hybrid training program.
Yeah, and we've made plenty of mistakes, and that's why we're here talking about this today and we're still learning too. We're always going to be learning, always trying to learn more about this topic, but we're here to teach you some of these mistakes so that you don't make these mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes that we have made came down to our fueling. So that's why we started Fit Grind supplements, actually, is so that we could help fuel these intense workouts. When training hybrid, we thought, okay, what are the perfect supplements that we can bring in to help with recovery, rehydration, and overall health?
Yeah, the first one was our protein powder. Obviously, training in this hybrid style, you have so much fatigue that you're going to be carrying each week. You're running a lot, you're lifting a lot, you're constantly breaking your body down. So, making sure that we are eating enough protein in your diet. We always recommend to have 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, especially for hybrid training athletes. And, the more you get into this, the more advanced you get. Some people can even benefit from saying 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So, it's a lot of protein in your diet. So, using a protein powder like ours is going to help you get your total amount of protein each day and be a good extension of your diet. Our protein is a grass-fed whey protein. It has 7 ingredients, 0 grams of sugar, and also tastes great. So
Yeah.
something that we use, typically what I'll do here is I'll do 2 to 3 scoops throughout the day. I always do 2 in the morning in between training sessions when I'm kind of back to back, because I don't want to go long periods of time where I'm not eating anything. So I'll do 2 scoops of protein with usually a piece of fruit kind of in the mid-morning. And then a lot of times I'll do an additional protein shake either after my workout or in the evening, just to help me boost my total protein throughout the day.
Yeah, you definitely need more protein than I do, so sh it's a lot harder to get in that extra protein. I like to use the protein powder as a post-workout, so if, you're hitting an intense workout and it's just something that's going to digest quickly and help, repair that muscle, breakdown. So, the protein powder tastes great, it's chocolate. We hope to eventually bring in some new flavors and revamp our protein powder at some point, but right now We just have chocolate.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about our other supplements as well. But if you guys are interested in trying out any of our supplements, we actually have an exclusive discount that we're going to give for our podcast listeners. So I'll leave the link down in the comments below, as well as a $20 off discount. So if you're new to the channel or you'd like to support our supplements, you can use that discount code and get $20 off your first order. So whether that is our protein powder, we can talk about the electrolytes and the greens next. Electrolytes are huge for hybrid athletes. Getting rid of electrolytes every time that we sweat, every time that we have a muscle contraction. And if you're not replenishing that, if you're just putting in plain water, you're going to become dehydrated. So it's going to decrease your performance. It's going to decrease your recovery. And if you've ever had this like flu-like symptom after a hard workout or hard run, that's dehydration. And we made that mistake plenty of times when we first started hybrid training. And that is exactly why we came out with our Pink Starburst Fit Grind electrolyte, because it's something that we use on a daily basis, whether it's during a strength training session, after or before a hard run. It's something that's going to give you the electrolytes that you need to bring the performance and the output that you need to make the progress that you want to see. So definitely something that I would highly recommend. We'll do at least 1 scoop a day, sometimes 2, depending on if we're running a lot or if we're sweating a lot, and the overall workload of the workout.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you can have every day, whether or not you're running. It's something you want to implement after a sauna session. That's also something that we are trying to bring into our routine as well, and recovering with that electrolyte. And half the time, we'll mix the electrolyte with the greens product. This is something that Jordan introduced me to, and I was like, at first, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are we doing here? We're mixing flavors. But so it sounds crazy, but it's really good. And you can fill up a really big water bottle with this because it is a little bit more overpowering. I sometimes will even just do half of the electrolytes with the scoop of greens, but it helps bring some more flavor to those greens because people get freaked out about greens. And yes, they're green and they're meant to be healthy and good for you. So people get freaked out about the taste and they think that it's going to be this earthy, greeny taste, but it's a berry flavor. It tastes really good. And especially when you mix it with that electrolyte, it tastes even better.
Yeah, the greens by themselves taste really good. They also give you more than 5 servings of leafy green vegetables, which most people don't get 5+ servings of leafy green vegetables on a daily basis. And then also has digestive enzymes and probiotics that are going to help you just maintain a healthy immune system too. Because when we're training hard like this, it's really easy to get sick. And if you get sick, you can't come and make progress. So again, that's why we came out with our greens products. It all work synergistically together to fuel your body, to hydrate your body, and just keep your body healthy. You know, at the base of any program, health is the main goal. And if you're sacrificing your health to reach a fitness goal, in my opinion, it's not worth it. So that's really what we're all about. We release one product at a time, kind of just building out the supplement line. So again, like I said, if you'd like to check anything out and support the brand, we truly do appreciate it. $20 off your first order. Like I said, the link is in the comments below. The next thing you want to kind of talk about on the lines of fueling is the diet portion too. We've talked a lot about this, especially in recent podcasts. So we won't go as deep into it today, but one of the biggest mistakes we made also when we first started hybrid training was we were training for a wedding. We were trying to get really lean, and I was trying to get sub 10% body fat. Alyssa was like 15% body fat, which for females is freaking shredded. And we were also running and lifting a lot. We're just not eating enough food. So beware of the output that you're giving each week. And if you have any sort of muscle mass on you, you're already burning a lot of calories at rest, and you add running on top of that, you're burning through a lot of calories. And there's this point where if you're not fueling your body properly, one, you're not going to be able to bring the output on the run or the strength training sessions and give good effort. But two, you're not going to lose body fat the way that you think. Your body's going to start to hold on to body fat. Your body's going to hold on to inflammation. So you have to make sure that you're eating enough food. Obviously, the same principles still apply. If you're trying to lose weight, you need to be in a caloric deficit. If you're trying to maintain caloric maintenance. If you're trying to gain weight, you need to be in a caloric surplus. But just be aware of the fact that the more running and lifting you start to do, you're going to need more calories. So make sure that you're paying attention to that, because we definitely made that mistake. It's very easy to make that mistake, to think that I'm not going to eat as much. I'm going to try and get shredded, but I'm also going to try and run this half marathon in an hour 35. It's like, you set these goals, they don't always all mix together. So be aware of your specific goals and your overall total calorie needs.
Yeah, a lot of our clients come to us and share their dietary, their diets with us. And a lot of the time, probably 99% of the time, they're not eating enough. And so when you mix the style of training with someone who's not eating enough, they're gonna feel like shit. They're not gonna recover and they're gonna hold on to body fat. And so the biggest takeaway that, you can get from this podcast, hopefully, is that you should be eating more. You need to be recovering properly to perform better. The biggest thing is to fuel your body for performance. If you're afraid of carbs, if you're afraid of, fueling your body with fruit or, any type of carb, then how are you going to perform in the gym? Because your body is going to utilize those food sources, and if you don't provide it with fuel, you're not gonna be able to, lift the heavy weight. You're not gonna be able to hit that goal marathon time that you have. So, don't be scared of eating. Eat so that you can perform better.
Yeah, it's almost like a psychological shift in your mindset where, in bodybuilding, talking about that specifically, it's a lot about how you appear, how you look. And if you're trying to get lean, it's like I only my success is defined by how I look in a mirror. And with hybrid training, there can be some of that too. Like obviously everybody cares about how they look. Like you only get one body. You want to take pride in how you look. You want to just just be a good example of health. And that's my main goal too as well. And you want to focus on your body composition. But there's also this performance aspect that Alyssa mentioned that you have to think about your fuel, your food, your electrolytes, your water consumption, your protein intake, your recovery. All of those things blend together and mesh together. And if you're not on top of all of those things, the wheel's going to fall off. You're going to get hurt. You're going to be fatigued and not recover. You're going to just spin your wheels and not make progress. So eating enough food, you can eat a lot more food than you think. Most people that have been lifting for any amount of time, your resting metabolic rate is a lot higher than you think. So at rest, you're burning a lot of calories. You add in a lot of daily activity. You add in that you have muscle. You add in that you're going on a run or a heavy strength training session. You can eat a lot more than you think. So we also have a free resource on our website if you are interested in a free macro calculation. I'll leave the link to that down in the description below as well, where you can fill out a form and we can give you a great place to start with your macros if you do have questions on that too, because it is such an important thing. And you're going to realize how much harder you can train and how much more progress you can make by eating the appropriate amount of calories.
Yeah, and if you're someone who is new to hybrid training and you don't know where to start, we also have online coaching that helps provide you a more structured plan based on your goals. And we'll leave the link in the description below where you can check that out as well.
Yeah, it's something that we love, creating programs and just helping people. So any way that we can help, let us know. If you have questions, just let us know down in the comment section below. I think the last thing we want to kind of leave you with is focus on what you want to accomplish with hybrid training. What are your goals? You might have some body composition goals. You might have a strength goal. You might have a performance goal with running or a triathlon or whatever it is. Think about what your goals are, jot them all down. And then from there, you need to use periodization to start to work towards those goals. Because if you're trying to work at all those things at once and create the most optimal program for all those things at once, it's not going to be optimal because you're going to need to take away certain things. So focus on periodization, use 3 months, 6-month blocks to get better at this thing. Now that you got better here, now you're going to get better here. Focus on what your goals are and create the program. And that's really what we love to do, is just create the structure with the program, blend the perfect diet together, use supplements to be an extension of the diet, and just create that structure. So if you are looking for help, we would love to help you. That's something we can definitely help create that program for. So thanks for tuning in to the podcast, guys. I'll leave a couple of videos to watch at the top of the screen here next, and we'll see you guys in the next one.